Welcome to Papa Junk Shop. Well, some of you that watch my channel regularly know I rewound the hoverboard motor in an attempt to get this turbine type thing working, and it did improve it. So I thought I'd try the same with the water wheel, which uses a smart drive. So I picked one of the aluminum ones because, you know, they're not as good. Pulled all the windings off it. There's 36 of them. Each one had 94 turns. And this one is, the pattern is a little different than the hoverboard one. The hoverboard, like a coil, would go clockwise, and then it would move to the next one and go counterclockwise, and the next one clockwise, and then it would skip a set, and then this one goes every third one in the same direction. So in that sense, it's easier because all the coils wind in the same direction. It's a real pain, I gotta tell you that. I'm using 150 turns of number 22 copper magnet wire, because that's what I had, and that looked like what would fit. And my first coil I did was this one, and I figured 150 turns, it looked like I was, you know, getting close to using up all the space. But, you know, now that I'm doing it some, you can see there is some more space here, so I probably could have got a few more turns on there. But that's what we're going with. I made this tool. It's just a piece of wood. And the other end happened to be what broke off. So I use this. When I get done, I shove that down through there, and it evens the coils up and packs them in. And then this one's a little bit thinner, tapered, and it goes in between two coils when I'm done. Or when I'm halfway through, I run it down through just to keep them in order. As you can see, I start out really nice and neat, but by the time you get towards the end, you know, it keeps getting more unorganized, which doesn't hurt anything, it just doesn't look pretty. So I'm only getting about 6 coils a day, because I wind one and my fingers are numb feeling, you know, from holding everything in place. So I go do something else, and then I come back a little later and I do another one. So I figure there's 36 of them. If I do 6 a day, it's going to take me 6 days to do it. So there's no hurry anyways. Oh, and when I got this first set done, I hooked it on a 24 volt AC transformer and just let it sit there and run. I think it was a little over 2 amps it drew. And, you know, I checked each coil, make sure there wasn't any heat, you know, from a shorted turn, and made sure that the magnetic pull on each one seemed to be about the same, and it seemed good. So I'll do the same when I get this one done. Got the last coil wound, got the leads run out here, and gonna hook this transformer, 24 volt, just a doorbell transformer, an antique one. And we'll put that on one end, this on the other. And it seems spark, so okay. And then you can see we got magnetism. Okay, and I'll leave that on there for a bit, just to make sure none of them get warm. And I was thinking, those other coils, I wonder if this will act like a transformer. because more or less that's what it is. I took a voltmeter onto the, let's see, AC volts. Well, it should be the same amount that we're putting in, I think, because, you know, it's 1 to 1. And get a bite on that. Now we got 6 volts AC. Of course, I don't know what we got up here. Let's see what we got here. This clip is kind of a pain. Yeah, we got 22 there, so it doesn't act like a totally like a transformer, but you can see that we're, oh yeah, duh. Looking for the right connection between the two of them. Well, anyways, you see them. So I'm going to leave that on there for a bit and check back later and make sure none of them are getting warm. Guess I fibbed to you. 0.95 amps. So just shy of an amp. Okay, a few days later, she's finally done. I'm not going to coat it with any insulating varnish stuff till I see it work. So I guess the next step is give her a test. Now we finally got a little wind. That's not the windmill that you guys have seen before. That's another one that I've made in the meantime. I'll tell you and show you about it. But while we get a little bit of wind, let's see what it does. Pretty discouraging. Set you up on a tripod and I'll show you some AC voltage coming in. Of course, now I got it, you know, on a tripod and stuff, the wind has died down. Of course. So let's give it a little bit to see if it'll recoup. Not looking good, is it? Okay, there we finally come to a stop almost. Yep, it stopped. Turn you back on if we get some wind. Okay, getting some wind now. We're making about 1/4 of an amp. That's the one phase of the 3-phase AC coming in voltage that you're seeing. As you can see, you got to have a lot of wind to do anything useful with it at a 48 volt system. But let me switch you over to a 12 volt system and you can see that you do actually get something. Same windmill. except I've got it on the same kind of a controller, except it's a 1224 volt one. You can see it's showing charge. I got a little 12 volt lithium iron phosphate battery hooked up, and just as usual, there goes the wind, died down again. I should have showed you at first. It was making, what, an amp and a half or something. Never fails. I was playing with it a little bit previously, and I seen like 3.5 amps or so out of it at one point. In the back. Okay, so there's the windmill. And there's how fast it's going. Hopefully that's going to show up alright on the camera. It's not going very fast. So even just in a little bit of a breeze, it does charge a little. You know, if we get a decent breeze, you get a few amps out of it. So that's more than I was getting before. You can actually, I can actually hear it. The Kangen, it amplifies, that tail amplifies it. I can hear it from here. I'm sure you guys can't. But. Okay, we're up on the garage roof. There's the windmill that you guys seen that we were waiting for the wind to blow. We did get a little bit and it didn't do much of anything. I've come to the conclusion that it's just too coggy. It has a hard time getting started, and then once it does get started, it just doesn't come up to enough voltage to be worthwhile. This is one that I made in about 2 hours out of the hoverboard. You can see I just used the base of the hoverboard, mounted the blades direct on the hub. There's a steel piece in the back backing up these center bolts, and these bolts are pretty much into the heavier aluminum here. And that's the one that we just seen working. That was the fastest windmill I ever made. Everything just fell in place. Piece of 1-inch pipe, pipe flange mounted on the original mount. This is all original. Punched the bushing that was in here out, and a piece of, this is 3/4 inch aluminum conduit, and the collar just fit in there nice. I drilled and dropped the bolt down through it. Cut a slit in there with a table saw and threw a couple bolts in, cut out a piece of tin for a tail. So that was a quick one, and it does actually make a little. That's more than the other ones did at 48 volts. But I think we're gonna hook these onto a small 12 volt system. And by the way, that's got the coils that I rewound for the tryout on the water turbine. The original hoverboard ones work, but these work better. Now I'm going to hook the 12/24 volt controller up to the water wheel. As you can see, On 48 volts, the water wheel isn't doing diddly. Okay, it says we're charging. We got, what, 11.6 volts coming in. And we're charging a quarter of an amp. That's more than we were getting before. And there isn't very much water. We'll go down to the water wheel and I'll show you. Okay, here's what we got. Very little. About the worst I've ever seen in how many years. But we're getting work out of the water wheel. That's what we want. Water's not flying off of it because it's going so fast. Let me show you how fast. As you can see, that's not going very fast either. I think it's about 2 RPM with that little bit of water. And you say I just got this temporary. This is the one with the rewound coils. Took 94 turns off of aluminum and put 150 copper on. Well, the windmill's going. For a few minutes anyways. Getting some wind gusts. Here's what we got with that wind blowing like that. Practically nothing. There's the water wheel. So in conclusion, the water wheel and the windmill isn't going to do me much good on my 48 volt system unless you got a hurricane or a flood. So I'm thinking what I might do is make a little 12 volt system and use that to charge the 12 volt system, and then use the 12 volt as a backup for this, or transfer the energy from the 12 volt by way of that 48 volt charger and an inverter. Gonna have lots of losses, but we'll have something. Besides that, it's fun to play with it all. So I guess that's where I stand with trying to get my windmills and water wheel to work on 48 volts. I don't have enough water constantly. I mean, it's really bad right now. And of course, you know how the wind is. What I could do is leave those in place and put a triple pole double throw switch on the input here. Have it so I can switch from the 48 if I got lots of wind or water. Just might do that. I don't know. You guys will have to keep watching and see what I do. You never know. Anyways, I got a lot of fun playing around with it, and hopefully I didn't bore you guys too bad. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And we'll see you next time. Welcome to Papa Junk Shop. Well, this morning the wind was really going at it. And that little hoverboard one that we had up yesterday, just a screaming. And I thought, well, even though it's windy, I got this down pretty pat. I can do it by shortening out and it'll hardly turn. So I switched out back to the Smart Drive one, and I swear to God, no sooner than I got it up there, the wind almost stopped. Never fails. So we're gonna keep waiting and hoping that we get some wind again. I think Mother Nature hates me. Well, that one didn't work out. We finally got some breezes and it just didn't work. So I put my old Smart Drive, the original one, back up. It's got the 5 blades on it. It's turning nicely. Doesn't have a problem starting out. This one doesn't cog like the other one. And it's actually making some electric. Well, here's what I decided to do with that windmill. It came from the scrap pile. It's back in the scrap pile. Except for the Smart Drive parts, I'll put them in for spare parts for the water wheel one. The old original is back up and operating on the 48 volt for now. It is actually charging, you know, not a lot, but a little bit's better than nothing. Grumpy day today. Yeah, the little hoverboard one's back on the ground too. That would actually work pretty decent. I think I might make a little tower of some kind, put that one up and make a little 12 volt system. Just because. Anyways, I guess that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you liked her. If you haven't subscribed, please do. See you next time, again.